Hey guys, welcome back to Life of Bliss. Today we'll be looking at the OSD Black Trevoce 12, the largest subwoofer that the OSD Black line has to offer. Now if you've been around the channel at all, you'll know I'm a fan of big subwoofers. I've actually not had anything smaller than a 15-inch woofer in my theater for at least 6 years. So going into this, I wasn't expecting a whole lot from this 12-inch woofer, but I used it in several different settings, and I gotta say, I'm really starting to like the versatility and how well it sounds. Now I'm going to be getting into where I've used this subwoofer and where I think it shines, but first I've got Backwards Hat Kyle patiently waiting over there to tell you about today's video sponsor. Why thank you, less attractive Kyle. Today's video was sponsored by Carl's Place. Carl's Place is one of the largest suppliers for affordable do-it-yourself projector screen materials. Because every room is different, they offer several different materials so you can get the most out of your setup. Their most popular materials are their Flexi White, Flexi Gray, and ALR screens that start as low as $45 for a 91-inch screen size. Have a unique setup or want a more premium material? Carl's Place has you covered. They sell screens that are acoustically transparent, made for rear projection, and finish edge screens and frames for your outdoor theater. Carl's Place sells even larger screens for venue events as well as golf impact screens so you can get your Tiger on without ever leaving your home. I built a Carl's Place Flexi Gray 120-inch screen for my theater about a year ago and absolutely loved the easy installation and image quality I get from my projector. Building the screen was an easy weekend project, and I was able to save hundreds of dollars going with Carl's Place instead of another manufactured screen. If you're not sure which screen to go with or how to make your own frame, Carl's Place has several helpful resources on their website, and I've made 2 videos covering both of these topics. I'll link both of those videos down in the description below, as well as the website for Carl's Place, so you can check out all the products that they have to offer. Be sure to check them out for any of your projection screen needs, and thank you again to Carl's Place for sponsoring this video. So quickly going over a few specs, the Trevoce 12 is OSD's 12-inch powered subwoofer. It has a 12-inch active driver powered by an 800-watt max plate amp located on the back. There's also a passive 12-inch driver on 2 sides of the enclosure. Now taking the passive radiator out, you can see that the passive radiator is not wired into the main sub or amp at all. There's no magnet or voice coil. These radiators move based on the pressure change in the box as the main driver moves. Even though these radiators aren't powered in any way, they increase the SPL compared to a regular sealed enclosure. So having a passive radiator enclosure will give you a similar bump in SPL as a ported enclosure would without having to worry about port noise or tuning, and you can usually get this done in a smaller enclosure. And the Trevoce 12 is a small package, coming in at 16 inches wide, 15.4 inches high, and 15 inches deep. With its black vinyl finish, it can easily be added to any space and not stick out like a sore thumb. Now, as I said in the unboxing video, I really do like the way the Trevoce 12 looks. I really like the flat black vinyl that's on there and the carbon fiber look of the side drivers, but I really only like the look with the front panel on. There we go, a little better. Turning the subwoofer around, you'll find the amplifier located on the back. Looking at the amplifier inputs, you'll want to make sure you're hooking it up correctly to get the most accurate sound. When testing, I found that the low pass cutoff only worked when using the low-level RCA inputs. That is useful when using a source that does not have an active crossover for the subwoofer output. For example, the Dayton DTA Pro has a subwoofer output, but no adjustable crossover on the unit itself. Plugging the RCA into that low-level input allows you to fine-tune the crossover on the amplifier. The LFE input on the amp bypasses the crossover dial and plays whatever signal the source unit sends. This is useful in a home theater setup where you have all of your mains crossed over at a certain point, say 80 Hertz, and the receiver is only sending the lower frequencies to the subwoofer output. Once you have the right input and crossover set, the volume knob can be used to fine-tune the sub to integrate into your mains. For testing, I had the Trevoce 12 in several different environments. First, I had it in my office when I was doing some casual listening to music and video editing. Then I had it in our upstairs TV area as well as our basement, paired with my Tang Band bookshelf speakers in a 2.1 setup. And finally, I had it in my home theater area. So first I wanted to talk about using the subwoofer in my office as well as using it in a 2.1 setup for casual TV or music listening. Each of these areas was outfitted with the Tang Band bookshelf speakers that I built recently and powered by a Dayton DTA Pro with a subwoofer out RCA. The Trevoce 12 has a nice, tight and punchy sound that really filled up the low end for any TV or music I was listening to. With its small footprint, I was able to find a place for the sub that was out of the way and didn't draw too much attention to itself. In these settings, when you're not listening to things extremely loud, the Trevoce 12 pumped out plenty of bass from its triple 12-inch design. Now moving to the home theater setting, the Trevoce 12 sat up on my front wall with my DIY sound group 1299s. Everything in my theater is ran by the Yamaha RXA 3070 receiver and powered with Emotiva XPA series amplifiers. So even though both of my towers have dual 12-inch woofers, they really can't reach the SPL levels that a good subwoofer can, so a subwoofer is necessary in this setup. While I had the Trevoce 12 down here, I watched a few movies including Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Alita Battle Angel, Midway, and one of my favorites, John Wick 3. Listening to each movie at a moderate level, the Trevoce 12 provided plenty of bass to fill up my entire basement. The final hotel scene in John Wick 3 provided some punchy bass with each gunshot, and when the shotgun scene came up, there was a nice chest thump that you could feel from the blasts. Midway was full of thunderous plane motors, machine guns, and bomb explosions. The Trevoce 12 handled everything with extreme detail and was able to pressurize my basement better than expected for its size. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Trevoce 12 has a nice tight and precise sound that can start and stop on a dime. With the passive radiator design, nothing ever really sounded muddy or boomy, just clean, precise bass. Now with the Trevoce 12 being a smaller package, especially with what I'm used to having down here, there are going to be a few compromises. The first being low end extension. Alright, so taking a look at Room EQ Wizard here, I've taken a measurement from my seating position with the UMic 1 with the subwoofer on the front wall as it was pictured earlier. And just right off the bat, just kind of disregard this 30 to 35 hertz null here. This is just my room, and unless you have multiple subwoofers or put the subwoofer in a position that doesn't make sense in my room, you're going to get this null. And there's a little null here at 80 hertz that will do the same thing in my room without multiple subs. But placing our line here about 103 decibels or so, you can see that the Trevoce 12 is fairly flat. There's a couple peaks here, but hopefully in future models they're going to be adding some DSP to get rid of some of these peaks and give a more flat signal. Going down here to the lower end, here's about 29 hertz, and then as you can see it just starts dropping like a rock after that. Its negative 3 dB point is about 27.5 hertz, and then all the way down to 20 hertz, you're down about 25 decibels from where it peaked in my room. So in movies, you're just going to be missing out on a lot of this lower end 20 hertz, sub 20 hertz content that is in a lot of movies. For music, that's not going to be too big of an issue. Most of your music is right about the 30 hertz and above, unless you're listening to some bass tracks or just some songs that have some lower end, but most of your music is going to be 30 hertz and above. But again, for movies, you're just going to be missing out unless you have multiple subwoofers on this lower end content. The next thing you'll want to consider is overall SPL. You'll notice earlier when I was talking about listening to movies, I was talking about listening to them at a moderate level. Now this can mean different things for different people, but going back to Room EQ Wizard, you'll notice that there is some compression starting around 40 hertz at 105 dBs. So you can see here right about the 40 hertz mark, it starts sloping down just a bit instead of staying flat like the previous measurement. And this was just bumping up 2 dB between these two. It's getting about 106 decibels before you start seeing really any compression here. So again, if you were to get some DSP and get this flat all the way across the board here, you're looking at about 105, 106 dB peaks if you're getting that flat signal. And again, you're just going to be losing out on some of that mid to lower 20 hertz range. But this did get louder than I expected it to, especially for the size of the enclosure and for the price point that it's at. Getting 105 decibels across the board there is really not bad, and you just can't really expect to be getting reference levels with something this size, again, at this price point either, unless you start adding multiple woofers and utilizing them to get a flatter signal and some more SPL. But again, for the price, this is looking pretty good. Now I do run my bass a little hot, but I ran all of the content about 10 decibels below reference with the Trevoce 12, and you could start hearing some of the limitations, especially in those lower notes, sub 20 hertz and things like that with most of the content. Now, even with those things in mind, I think you have to have the right expectations when looking at something that is in a small package like this. And in the Trevoce 12's case, it actually exceeded my expectations on what a small form factor subwoofer can do. I'm used to looking at giant 24-inch woofers in the front side of my room. That takes two hefty adults to maneuver. All right, so we really need to move this into place before we get the sub in there, because it gets a little heavy with the sub in. So my back's a little sore. I'm gonna get this lighter side. Are you okay over there?
Yeah.
All right, you ready to lift? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's it. Keep going. Man, thanks for your help.
Yeah.
All right. The Trevoce 12, on the other hand, is something that can easily be positioned and almost hidden out of sight while still producing significant levels of bass on a budget. Besides playing the lowest of frequencies seen in most movies, it's an extremely versatile sub that I've been able to use in a variety of setups with excellent results. In fact, I've liked the Trevoce 12 so much, I'm considering selling my triple 24s for this triple 12. Now, the Trevoce lineup of subwoofers from OSD Black has had a significant price drop from my unboxing video. The 8-inch version is coming in at $499, the 10-inch for $599, and the 12-inch for $699. Even better, OSD has offered 15% savings on the Trevoce 12 for you guys if you use the code LifeOfBliss15 at checkout, bringing the price down to $595 with free shipping. If you'd like more information on the Trevoce 12, I'll be leaving links down in the description below for OSD Black's website, as well as where to purchase their products. Thanks to the guys at OSD Black for sending this unit out for review. I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you soon.